At one point, Adrien Broner looked untouchable. World titles, viral fame, and millions of dollars flowing into his hands. He was young, brash, and already living like a superstar. But behind the diamonds and designer clothes was a storm that nobody wanted to acknowledge. His nickname might have been the problem, but the real problem had nothing to do with boxing. It was money. Or more specifically, Broner's inability to stop burning through it. He thought the spotlight would last forever. He thought the paychecks would never stop coming. What started as celebrations after big wins soon turned into a reckless lifestyle that couldn't be maintained. Exotic cars, gold chains, private jets, and nights out that cost more than most people's annual salary. For Broner, every dollar was proof that he'd made it, until suddenly, there were no dollars left. What followed wasn't a sudden collapse, but a slow and very public unraveling. And when the illusion of wealth disappeared, so did everything around him. This is the story of how Adrien Broner made over $10 million, and lost every single cent. Broner didn't grow up rich. He grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, surrounded by crime, poverty, and a world that forced him to fight for everything he had. As a kid, he watched friends die, got into fights, and ran into the law more than once. The streets didn't give him much hope, but boxing did. The moment he stepped into a ring, everything changed. Broner had natural gifts, fast hands, sharp footwork, and knockout power. He also had the kind of swagger that promoters loved. By his early 20s, people were calling him the next Floyd Mayweather. He was undefeated, outspoken, and box office gold. Broner didn't just fight, he performed. The money followed quickly. His 2013 bout against Paulie Malignaggi didn't just make headlines for the trash talk, it brought in between $1.25 and $5 million. His clash with Marcos Maidana was even bigger. Endorsements, club appearances, and fight purses stacked up. Suddenly, Broner had gone from counting change for meals to throwing stacks of cash in clubs like it was nothing. But there was no financial guidance. No one holding him back. No one explaining what taxes, investments, or saving actually meant. Instead, his inner circle hyped him up, encouraged the spending, and took their own share. Broner showered friends with Rolexes, threw wads of cash at fans, and booked exotic vacations on a whim. He wasn't just living his dream, he was living every broke kid's fantasy all at once. The problem was, he never believed the money could run out. He spent each fight purse like it was his last. Luxury cars, diamond grills, penthouse rentals, and shopping sprees. But under the surface, things were already starting to crack. Broner wasn't just famous for his wins, he was infamous for his persona. Loud, cocky, and unfiltered, he was a walking headline. He dyed his hair wild colors, filmed ridiculous stunts, and threw money away like it was trash. He once flushed $20 bills down a toilet. Another time, he pretended to eat a sandwich made of $100 bills. To fans, it was outrageous entertainment. To brands, it was a red flag. And that's where the problem started. Attention doesn't always equal money. Behind the scenes, sponsors pulled away. Networks started hesitating. To the business side of boxing, Broner wasn't just unpredictable, he was becoming toxic. By 2016, footage of him allegedly assaulting someone outside a bowling alley surfaced. Instead of apologizing, Broner laughed it off. He skipped court dates, mocked judges, and ridiculed opponents online. Fans still tuned in, but promoters and executives saw a liability. HBO and Showtime quietly gave him fewer opportunities. What Broner didn't realize was that every outrageous act had a cost. Sponsorships disappeared. Legal fees piled up. Missed business deals vanished. One boxing insider later revealed Broner lost at least 2 major endorsement deals. Each worth 6 figures, because companies didn't want his name tied to their brand. For a fighter whose purses were starting to shrink, that was money he couldn't afford to lose. Still, he didn't stop spending. At his peak, Broner owned multiple Bentleys, Ferraris, and Rolls-Royces. He'd give away jewelry like party favors. He'd spent 5 figures in a single night at clubs while his entourage filmed it for Instagram. But what looked like wealth was really just smoke and mirrors. Court records later showed that Broner often had less than $20 in his personal accounts. Many of his cars were leased, his homes rented, his jewelry financed. He wasn't rich, he was fronting wealth to keep up the image. The ABE brand demanded flash, and Broner kept faking it, even if it meant borrowing money to do it. The truth exploded in 2021. A judge grilled Broner after he flaunted stacks of cash online while claiming in court he only had $13 to his name. "Mr. Broner, you have money to pay this judgment," the judge snapped. "You just choose not to." That moment exposed the illusion. Broner wasn't broke because he never had money, he was broke because he refused to respect it. By then, Broner had already burned through more than $10 million. What he had left was legal trouble, debt, and faded memories of a lifestyle that no longer existed. The lawsuits came fast. In 2018, he was sued for allegedly assaulting a woman at a nightclub. A court ordered him to pay $830,000 in damages. Instead of handling it, Broner dodged hearings, ignored deadlines, and racked up penalties. By 2020, he was being held in contempt for not paying. And yet, even as he sat in court, Broner was still online posting videos of himself with stacks of cash. He laughed. The courts didn't. In November 2020, during a virtual hearing, Broner swore he had only $13 in his account and claimed friends were sending him money via Cash App. The judge didn't buy it and even threatened jail time unless he came clean about his finances. But Broner never learned. For every fine, every mispayment, every judgment against him, he just doubled down with more reckless behavior. Meanwhile, his career in the ring was slipping. By the late 2010s, the speed and hunger that once defined him were fading. His 2017 fight against Mikey Garcia was supposed to reignite his career, but Broner was outclassed, losing decisively. In 2021, he scraped by with a controversial win against Giovanni Santiago, throwing just 98 punches in 12 rounds. Fans weren't impressed. Critics called him uninspired. Behind the scenes, Broner's training camps were draining what little money he had left. Some cost over $300,000, while the fight purses didn't even cover half of it after taxes and team cuts. He wasn't fighting for legacy anymore. He was fighting just to stay afloat. But boxing is a brutal business. If you're not headlining, you're not earning. And Broner wasn't headlining anymore. He went from demanding 7 figures per fight to scrambling for anything. In 2022, he signed with BLK Prime for a supposed comeback tour. It sounded like salvation, but the deal collapsed before it even started. No fights, no paycheck. Broner was back at zero. Worse, the industry had moved on without him. Showtime, PBC, and even Floyd Mayweather, once his mentor, stopped mentioning his name. Young fighters like Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson became the stars Broner once promised to be. The harshest punishment boxing ever gave him was silence. And that silence revealed the truth. The entourage that once filled arenas with him? Gone. The friends who partied with him? Gone. The trainers and promoters who once saw potential? Gone. Broner found himself surrounded by fewer and fewer people, until it was just him and the weight of his own mistakes. By 2020, his social media wasn't just outrageous anymore, it was disturbing. One day, he'd be partying. The next, he'd post tearful videos about depression. He went live saying, "I just don't know what's going on anymore." Fans were split, some supportive, others mocking, but everyone could see the cracks. He begged Al Heyman, his longtime advisor, for fights. He shared screenshots of his near-empty bank accounts. He accused people of betraying him. Whether the details were true or not didn't matter, the desperation was real. In 2022, days before a fight, he pulled out, citing mental health struggles. "I have to overcome these obstacles before I put my life on the line in the ring," he wrote. Some fans supported him. Others rolled their eyes. But everyone understood this wasn't about boxing anymore. Broner checked into rehab in 2023. For a moment, it looked like progress. But soon, he was back online, back to partying, back to the same cycle. The bravado looked hollow. The showman was fading. Each post felt like a cry for help that no one answered. Today, Adrien Broner lives in the shadow of what he once was.